sun would rise from the west. Number 7, 8, and 9. 3 earthquakes, 3 landslides, the earth opening and swallowing what it swallows, 1 in the east, 1 in the west, and 1 in Arabia. Number 10, a fire would come out of Yemen and drive people to their place of assembly, which is Arafat. So when Allah speaks of punishment, ba'san shadida, He's talking about punishment which comes out of these 10. And the Prophet has said Dajjal. So we know the punishment is coming from Dajjal. Where will the punishment be located? The Quran at the beginning of Surah Kahf is saying Dajjal is going to attack in every place where they planted an evil seed. Either in the word of Allah, the Torah, the Injil, the Zabur, or the word of the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, the Hadith. Wherever you plant an evil seed, once Dajjal is released, he's eventually going to cause that evil seed to become an evil tree, and no one can cut it down. That's the punishment. And so they changed the word of Allah to make riba halal. That riba is going to go under Dajjal's direction until riba pervades the entire economy and takes control of the whole world. The Prophet warned about it. He said the time will come when you'll not be able to find a single person, not one, in all of mankind who will not be consuming riba. You heard that? Did you hear that? You will not be able to find a single person in all of mankind who will not be consuming riba. And whosoever says he's not consuming riba, verily the dust will reach him, verily the vapor will reach him. That is fulfilled today. Why do you think they have the strike in Point Fontaine? Why do you think you have labor unrest in Trinidad? Why do you think governments all around the world have to impose minimum wage legislation? And now they want sectoral minimum wage. Why? Because the economy has been corrupted by riba. That's why. Number 2, Allah prohibited the consumption of intoxicants. He did it in the Quran. He considered it to be evil in the Quran. What evil in the Quran had to be evil before the Quran? Huh? If it's evil in the Quran, it can be good before. So it had to have been prohibited in all previous scriptures. Because evil. The Prophet ﷺ described alcohol as the mother of all evils. We have a booklet at the back entitled The Quranic Method of Curing Alcoholism and Drug Addiction. It's a small booklet. Please not only read it, study it. They changed the word of Allah to make the Prophet drink until he drunk. When I was a billah min hada. Dajjal now takes that evil word, that crooked word, that crooked seed, and cause it to grow until it becomes a tree. And nobody can cut it down. And so alcoholism and drug addiction comes and takes over the whole world. Huh? You understanding now? And when it comes as a big tree, no government can cure it. They cannot arrest it. They can't stop it. It grows only worse and yet worse. Ba'san shadid. Terrible punishment. Number 3. They wrote about how their father sleep with his daughters. That is incest. Guess what happened? When they planted that evil seed, Dajjal took it and is now making it grow into an evil tree, so that incest is now spreading all over the world. The government of Singapore don't know what to do. It's the moral state, Singapore. And yet incest is becoming widespread. I think it was today's newspaper or yesterday. I forget how much, 60 years or 20 years for 48 years for committing incest with his own 3-year-old daughter's man. Yeah. بَأْسًا شَدِيدًا مِنْ لَدُنْ. Every time you change the word of truth and corrupt it with something false, and this Quran has come to set it straight. Now, Dajjal is going to take that evil seed and cause it to become an evil tree, and you ain't going to get away from it unless you are protected by the Quran. But the Quran itself goes on to speak about a particular evil seed that was planted, making special mention of it. وَيُنْزِرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا. This Quran has come to warn those who declare of Allah that He fathered a son. مَا لَهُمْ بِهِ مِنْ عِلْمٍ. They have no knowledge of this subject. وَلَا لِآبَائِهِمْ. Their fathers have no knowledge of this subject. كَبُرَتْ كَلِمَةً تَخْرُجُ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. It is a terrible thing that comes out of their mouth when they say this. That Allah fathered a son. And so shirk. Which son is this he talking about? The Quran itself explains that the Jews declare that Uzair is Ibnullah. Uzair is the son of God. Uzair in English, Ezra. So the Jews responded to say, you see how the Quran is false? There are no Jews today who say that Ezra is the son of God. None. There is no historical evidence that Jews ever considered Ezra to be the son of God. Jews never had any belief in the son of God. So the Quran is false. Where's the evidence? Until 1947, there was no evidence. And then the Dead Sea Scrolls were located in the caves of Qumran. And they did all that they could to conceal those Dead Sea Scrolls for 50 years. It wouldn't come out. But eventually it had to come out. This was a community of Jews, the Essenes. And there was a likelihood that Nabi Isa alayhi salam was connected with this group, the Essenes. And they separated themselves from the rest of the community. They went to live in what I call the Muslim village, far out in the countryside. But they went to live in caves. And they kept their scriptures concealed and protected. And when the caves were discovered, these scriptures were located, and they were called the Dead Sea Scrolls. And one of them was entitled the Son of God. And so here is evidence that there were a community of Jews at some time who did have belief in the Son of God, confirming what the Quran is saying. وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودِ الْأُزَيْرِ ibn Allah. Uzair is the Son of God. But the Quran is also referring to the Christians who declare of Nabi Isa alayhi salam that he is the Son of Allah. The Quran is saying that this is false. They have no knowledge of what they're saying. And this is an absolutely terrible thing that they are saying. Now that the Quran has come to correct